Hey everyone, Steve here from Learn Online Video, and today I'm at this incredible location here in the southwest of England where I'm going to be shooting a short cinematic sequence. My goal for today is to make the footage look as smooth and as steady as possible. So to help me with this, I'm going to be shooting everything on the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Zhiyun Crane M3. I'm also going to be attaching this setup to a 3-meter long extension pole. This is going to take these shots to a whole new level and really make this footage stand out. I'm going to walk you through my process, this setup, shoot some footage, give you some tips, and at the end of this video, edit all of this footage into a short cinematic sequence. Today's video is sponsored by Epidemic Sound. This is where I'm going to be getting all of my music and sound effects for the final sequence. Okay, let's start shooting some footage. I want to start by capturing a shot to help establish this location. For this, I'm going to replicate a camera movement that is often seen in big Hollywood feature films, the push forward, tilt up. I'm shooting in 4K 60 frames per second, and I'm going to select the wide angle lens. I want to see as much of this environment as possible. I'm going to tap the screen to lock focus and exposure and then point my camera down. With my gimbal in pan follow mode, I'm now going to start pushing forward while slowly tilting my camera up. This shot is not only a great way to reveal a location, but the combination of both pushing forward and tilting up creates a really dynamic movement and instantly helps grab your audience's attention. The reverse of this shot would be the pull back, tilt down. These shots are a great way to show off any focal points that you can't quite fit all in one frame. And once you've mastered these, try the more advanced version of this movement. For this, I'm going to orbit around my focal point whilst tilting up. Takes a bit of practice, this one, but it's worth it for the end result. We've got a shot that starts pointing low to the ground. As the camera spins around our focal point, it then starts to tilt up and creates a much more interesting shot. Okay, let's play with light. For this, I want to reveal the sun from behind my focal point. Look for shadows on the ground to help with this and move your camera from the shadows to the sun. I tried shooting this in 4K 60 frames per second, but just wasn't happy with the results. The shot just wasn't smooth enough, so I switched to slow motion and tried again. This created a much smoother, more cinematic movement and slowly revealed the sun from behind my focal point. Okay, let's talk about depth and foreground, because this is one of the best ways to give your footage a much more cinematic look. For this shot, I want to move the camera close to the ground, passing over these rocks with my focal point in the background, but this shot just doesn't have the depth or foreground that I'm looking for. So I'm simply going to move elements within my environment to create more depth and foreground. I'm going to roll this large rock as well as another one to create a space for my camera to pass through. And as you can see, with the added rocks in the foreground, we now have much more depth to this shot as the camera pushes between these two rocks. It doesn't matter if you're lifting your camera up, whether you've got it low to the ground, sliding it sideways. Always be sure to experiment with using foreground. Use it to reveal, use it to add depth and interest to your shots. This is one of the best ways to make your footage look more professional. Let's see another example of using depth and foreground. For this, I'm going to use these rocks and grass as my foreground. I'm going to bring my camera down low and then slowly lift my camera up to reveal my focal point in the background. Okay, what else is this sequence missing? Well, we haven't been inside the old tin mine yet, and if I was a viewer watching this video, I would want to know what it looks like. So let's show them. Nice and simple, just like before, I'm going to pull back and tilt down. Using a combination of this gimbal and the iPhone's image stabilization creates an extremely fluid and precise camera movement, perfect for taking a viewer on a journey around this location. Okay, so we've established this location, we've seen the inside and outside of our focal point. Now let's capture some shots of the surrounding area. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max has 3 lenses, so I'm going to take advantage of this. We've got the ultra wide, that's this one. We've got the standard and a telephoto lens, which will allow me to zoom right in on the coastline and the waves hitting these rocks. These shots will serve as great cutaways, help tell a better story, and allow me to introduce much more creative sound effects. I'm going to get some close-up static shots as well as some wider slider shots, again close to the ground, using this grass as foreground. But let's not end there. How about we fake some drone footage? Now, there are a number of different ways you can fake drone footage. In previous videos, I've used a light stand to help me get my camera high up off the ground, but the problem with a light stand understand is that they're big and they're bulky. Great if you're on a budget because they're cheap, but they're not exactly easy to travel with. Recently, I've been experimenting with this. This is the Insta360 extended selfie stick. It extends to 3 meters long, perfect for faking drone shots, and it folds down easily to fit inside a backpack. The downside is that it's not cheap, nor is it designed to take the heavier payload of a smartphone and gimbal. It's designed for much smaller action cameras, so use at your own risk, and risk it I shall. I'm going to start by pushing my camera forward nice and low to the ground and then lift up as I get to the end of this grass bank. I want to create a sense of the camera moving quickly along the ground and then taking off into the sky to reveal our focal point. I'm going to replicate this same movement a couple of times at different locations. Again, starting with my camera low, pushing forward and lifting to reveal my focal point. This will give me much more options in the edit. I'm also going to capture some basic push forwards with my camera at an elevated position. These look much more like traditional drone shots, as well as some mega jib movements. These shots replicate a drone taking off and can add serious production value to your films and videos. Okay, so you now know what tools are out there to help you shoot cinematic footage, as well as ways to use them. But what would this footage look like edited with music and sound effects? Well, for this, I'm going to head over to Epidemic Sound and find a suitable track. I want to find something that complements this footage, something that makes it feel like it's straight out of a Hollywood film. Luckily, Epidemic Sound make this process nice and easy to do. I can search by genre, mood, or theme. They've got playlists, we've got cinematic, we could go for a cinematic score, maybe a Hollywood epic or fantasy. We can just click on one of these and there we have it, a huge list of tracks suited to the style and mood that I'm looking for. Let's go with this one here. Now, another way to increase the production value of your footage and make it feel more cinematic is to use sound effects. These can be as subtle or as obvious as you like. Epidemic Sound have a huge sound effects library, so I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to download some coastal sounds, some waves, a calm breeze, maybe some birds chirping, anything that can help give this footage an added layer of interest. Having an archive of music and sound effects that you can just dip into whenever needed is a huge time saver and can really help to speed up your workflow. I will leave a link to a free 30-day trial to Epidemic Sound in the description below. It really is one of the best ways to level up your videos. Try it for yourself, use the link, sign up and download as much music as you like. Okay, so we've shot all of our footage, we've found some cinematic music and sound effects. Now let's see what all of this looks like edited into a short cinematic sequence. So there you have it. What do you think? How cinematic do you think that sequence looked? And what are your thoughts on this setup? Do let me know in the comments section below. If you'd like to see more content like this, learn more about video production, you can do that by watching one of my other videos just over there. But that's it from me. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.